Dubai was built to look unstoppable. Record-breaking towers, artificial islands, unlimited growth. But behind that image, cracks have started to show. Projects slowing down, debt piling up, some developments quietly struggling to stay alive. The question is no longer, how big can Dubai get? It's, can it sustain what it already built? In this video, we're breaking down the financial reality behind Dubai and whether the collapse people are talking about is actually coming. To understand how Dubai arrives at this moment, you need to understand what Dubai was supposed to be, not what it became, what it was designed to become. Because the gap between those two things is where the debt lives. In the early 1990s, Dubai's leadership made a decision that was, at the time, genuinely visionary. They looked at their oil reserves, modest compared to Abu Dhabi, projected to run out within decades, and decided that oil could not be the plan. The plan had to be something else, something that generated revenue even after the wells ran dry. The plan was to make Dubai the hub of everything, the financial hub of the Middle East, the tourism hub of the region, the logistics hub between East and West, the real estate destination for the global wealthy, the free trade zone where international business could operate with minimal friction and maximum profit. All of it simultaneously. All of it within 2 to 3 decades. All of it built on desert land with borrowed money, on the assumption that if you built the infrastructure first, the people and the commerce would follow. And for a period, roughly between 2000 and 2008, it worked. Or appeared to work. The Burj Al Arab opened in 1999 and became the most photographed hotel on Earth. The Palm Jumeirah, an artificial island in the shape of a palm tree, built by pumping 94 million cubic meters of sand from the floor of the Arabian Gulf, began selling luxury villas to international buyers at prices that made headlines on every continent. The Dubai Mall opened in 2008 as the largest shopping mall in the world by total area. The Burj Khalifa, which would open in 2010, was already under construction. 828 meters of steel and glass pointed at the sky like a declaration that the age of Dubai had arrived. Foreign investment poured in. Property developers from Europe, Russia, India, and China bought off-plan apartments in projects that existed only as renders and promises. The price of real estate in certain Dubai districts doubled, then doubled again. Between 2002 and 2008, international banks opened regional offices. DIFC, the Dubai International Financial Center, a jurisdiction within a jurisdiction with its own courts and its own laws, attracted global financial firms who saw it as the gateway to Gulf capital. The world looked at Dubai and saw the future. What it was actually looking at was one of the most spectacular debt-fueled construction booms in modern economic history. And the bill was coming. November 25th, 2009. Dubai World, the state-owned conglomerate responsible for the Palm Jumeirah, the World Islands project, and dozens of the mega projects that had defined Dubai's international reputation, announced that it was requesting a standstill on $26 billion in debt repayments. Let us be precise about what that means. Dubai World was not asking its creditors to be patient for a month while cash flow normalized. It was saying, we cannot pay what we owe on the schedule we promised, and we need you to stop the clock while we figure out what happens next. In any other context, with any other entity, that is called a default. Global markets reacted immediately. The announcement came the day before Thanksgiving in the United States, when many traders were absent, which meant the full reaction landed on the Friday. And it was severe. European bank stocks fell sharply. Asian markets opened lower. The Abu Dhabi government, watching its neighbor's crisis unfold in real time, stepped in with a $10 billion emergency facility, the first tranche of what would become a $20 billion total rescue package, to prevent Dubai World's creditors from forcing a full sovereign default. $20 billion from a neighbor to prevent collapse, because Dubai had built $26 billion worth of things that could not pay for themselves. The Palm Jumeirah, the iconic artificial island that had been sold to the world as the proof that Dubai could literally reshape geography, was already showing the first signs of what it would become. Apartments purchased off-plan at peak prices in 2007 and 2008 were now worth 40 to 60% less than their purchase price. Some were simply abandoned, bought by investors who had expected to flip them before completion, now sitting empty because the flip market had vanished overnight and no one was willing to buy at any price that made the original purchase rational. The world islands, 300 artificial islands arranged in the shape of a world map, sold to international investors for $14 billion, designed to host luxury resorts and private residences on each country, had, by 2009, completed construction of almost nothing. The islands existed. The roads, the utilities, the buildings, the life that was supposed to fill them. None of it materialized. Today, 2 decades after the project launched, most of the islands remain exactly as they were built, uninhabited sand in the shape of nations, slowly sinking back into the sea at a documented rate of approximately 5 millimeters per year, with no infrastructure and no realistic plan for development. Dubai was rescued in 2009. It did not reform. It recovered, and then it borrowed again, built again, and made exactly the same bet on exactly the same foundation. And now, the bill is back, larger than before. Here's the statistic that should have been front-page news on every financial outlet in the world, repeated until it became impossible to ignore. Dubai's commercial real estate vacancy rate, the percentage of retail and office space that is built, available, and generating zero revenue, stands at approximately 20 to 25% across the broader emirate, with some districts reporting vacancies significantly above that figure. In a city that is still actively constructing new retail and office space at scale, adding supply to a market already carrying a quarter of its inventory empty is not ambition. It is denial dressed as development. Let us go landmark by landmark, because this is where the abstract numbers become concrete. The Dubai Mall, the largest mall in the world by total area, 1.1 million square meters of retail space, 1,200 stores, the indoor ski slope, the aquarium, the fountain that draws 100,000 visitors on a peak day, is not shutting down. Let us be precise. The Dubai Mall is not shutting down because it is the flagship, the thing every tourist photograph includes, the thing the brand cannot afford to let visibly fail. But the Dubai Mall is a carefully curated illusion of density. When you walk its corridors, you see the anchor tenants, the luxury brands, the food court, the entertainment attractions. What you do not see, unless you are looking for it, are the shuttered units in the secondary corridors, the stores that opened with fanfare and closed quietly, the retail square footage that is dark behind pulled-down shutters and has been dark for months or years. In 2023, the vacancy rate in Dubai's retail sector was reported at 17.4% by JLL, the global real estate advisory firm. And that figure applies to the broader market, which includes the premium malls like Dubai Mall that skew the average downward. In secondary retail districts, the older malls, the community centers, the retail strips that were built during the boom to serve populations that never fully materialized, vacancy rates of 35 to 45% are documented. Some of these malls have not had an anchor tenant in 3 years. Dubai Festival City Mall, once positioned as a destination retail experience on the Creek waterfront, 250 stores, an IKEA, a multiplex, waterfront dining. Today, sections of the mall operate with vacancy rates that make the anchor tenants look like furniture in an empty room. The food and beverage outlets that once lined the waterfront promenade have turned over so rapidly that several locations have cycled through 3 or 4 different restaurant brands in 5 years, each one opening with social media coverage, closing without announcement. Ibn Battuta Mall, themed across 6 courts, representing the journey of the 14th century explorer Ibn Battuta, was built as a tourist attraction as much as a shopping destination. It draws visitors for its architecture. The stores that are supposed to accompany the architecture have been thinning for years. As of 2024, multiple courts within the mall have vacancy rates in the 30 to 40% range for retail units. The theming remains. The commerce that is supposed to justify it is fading. And then there is the Palm Jumeirah. The palm, the island that was the symbol of everything Dubai claimed to be, was sold with the promise that it would become the most exclusive residential address in the Middle East. Private beaches, ultra-luxury villas, the Atlantis Hotel at its crown, a monorail connecting its spine to the mainland. All of it true, and none of it sufficient to justify what was borrowed to build it. The Atlantis, the Palm, the resort that opened in 2008 with a $20 million launch party that flew in celebrities from 4 continents and featured a performance by Kylie Minogue, a fireworks display visible from space, and a guest list that included the who's who of global wealth, has been through repeated cycles of financial restructuring since its opening. The parent company, Kerzner International, has restructured debt associated with the property multiple times. A second Atlantis property, Atlantis the Royal, which opened in 2023, launched with similar fanfare and a Beyoncé performance for the opening night that cost a reported $35 million for a single private concert. The opening attracted headlines. The financial fundamentals of building a second ultra-luxury resort on an island whose first ultra-luxury resort has never convincingly serviced its original debt attracted rather fewer. The Palm Jumeirah's residential fronds, the 17 Palm Frond offshoots where the private villas are located, have vacancy and abandonment issues that are structurally invisible from the outside but financially documented. Properties purchased at peak boom prices sit empty because their owners, largely foreign investors who bought them as assets rather than residences, cannot find buyers at prices that make financial sense and cannot find tenants at rental yields that justify holding costs. Some have been listed and relisted for years without transacting. Some have simply been left, locked, unfurnished, paying HOA fees into a building management system while generating nothing in return. The Palm was the symbol of Dubai's ambition. Today, it is the symbol of what happens when ambition is financed entirely by debt and populated entirely by expectation. Dubai's real estate market is the most effective financial illusion of the 21st century. And understanding why requires understanding one thing about how it is structured, that the developers, the brokers, the influencer investors, and the government marketing apparatus all have a shared interest in ensuring you never fully grasp. Dubai real estate prices are quoted, "They are not discovered." In a functioning real estate market, London, New York, Paris, Tokyo, prices are the output of millions of transactions between buyers and sellers who have competing interests and independent information. The price that clears the market is the real price, because it reflects what someone with alternatives was actually willing to pay. In Dubai, a significant proportion of real estate transactions are not between independent parties in a liquid market. They are off-plan sales, purchases of units that do not yet exist, from developers who control the pricing, the timing, the release schedule, and the public narrative around those prices. When a Dubai developer announces that a new tower in Business Bay sold out in 48 hours at an average price of $650 per square foot, that is a marketing event, not a market signal. The buyers, often a concentrated group of institutional investors, family offices, or high-net-worth individuals with relationships to the developer, are purchasing an asset whose liquidity, whose actual resale value, and whose rental yield in the completed secondary market are all unknowable at the point of purchase. The headline is, "Sold out in 48 hours." The question nobody asks in the headline is, sold out to whom? At what effective yield? With what exit mechanism? In 2023, Knight Frank reported that Dubai saw 43,000 residential property transactions, a record number, presented universally as evidence of market strength. What received considerably less coverage? Approximately 37% of those transactions were off-plan sales. And of the completed secondary market transactions, a significant proportion were concentrated in a small number of ultra-premium developments, while the broader residential market, particularly in older districts and mid-market developments built during the 2005 to 2010 boom, continued to suffer from oversupply, stagnant or falling prices, and yields insufficient to justify holding costs for investment buyers. There are districts in Dubai, Jumeirah Village Circle, International City, Discovery Gardens, parts of Dubai Sports City, where apartment buildings completed between 2008 and 2012 are still operating at 30 to 40% vacancy 15 years after opening. Not because Dubai has no demand for affordable housing, it has enormous demand for affordable housing from its 2.4 million blue-collar workers who cannot afford what is being built, but because the housing that was built was not built for the people who need it. It was built for investors who expected other investors to buy it from them at higher prices. When the chain of investors willing to buy at higher prices stops, as it always eventually stops, what remains is a building full of empty apartments, a developer servicing construction debt on units generating no income, and a government facing the choice between acknowledging the market failure or manufacturing enough narrative to attract the next wave of buyers before the current wave fully processes their losses. Dubai has, so far, always chosen the narrative. But narratives have a weight limit, and the debt that is accumulating behind this one is approaching that limit in real time. Here is what the Dubai government and its international partners always say when this conversation surfaces. Dubai is not oil dependent. Only 1% of Dubai's GDP comes from oil. Dubai has successfully diversified. Dubai is a services economy. All of those statements are technically true, and all of them are designed to obscure a different truth that is equally important. Dubai itself may not depend on oil, but Dubai depends entirely on Abu Dhabi, its neighboring emirate, which controls approximately 95% of the UAE's oil reserves, and whose sovereign wealth fund, the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, manages between $700 billion and $1 trillion in assets. When Dubai ran into trouble in 2009, it was Abu Dhabi that wrote the check. When Dubai's state-linked entities have faced debt crises in the years since, it has been Abu Dhabi's financial backstop, visible or invisible, that has prevented those crises from becoming defaults. Dubai is not an oil economy. It is an economy backstopped by an oil economy, which is a completely different thing, particularly when global oil demand is entering a structural long-term decline, driven by the energy transition, electric vehicle adoption, and efficiency improvements that are contracting the revenue base of the entity, whose implicit guarantee has always been Dubai's last line of defense. The International Energy Agency's 2023 World Energy Outlook projected that global oil demand would peak before 2030 under current policy trajectories. Goldman Sachs, in a 2023 research note, revised its long-term oil price forecasts downward, citing structural demand destruction from electrification. For Abu Dhabi, whose entire financial capacity to backstop Dubai rests on sustained oil revenue, the question is not whether the backstop exists, it currently does, but how long the backstop remains financially viable as the energy transition progresses. That question does not have a comfortable answer, and Dubai knows this, which is why the urgency behind every megaproject, every tourism campaign, every world's largest and world's first and world's tallest is not ambition for its own sake. It is a race against a clock, a race to build enough legitimate, diversified, self-sustaining economic activity in financial services, technology, tourism, logistics, before the oil backstop that has always been there in an emergency is no longer financially available to provide it.